Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you about the first of these two full moons that are happening in Aquarius. This is actually quite rare, and I did want to dedicate this video to my late husband Martin, who left the planet in 2014. He was an Aquarian sun, and I know he would have echoed my words, although with his Scorpio moon I feel it would have been far more spiky, a little more direct and far less diplomatic with its delivery. So here it is, guys, and I wanted to talk about the first full moon. It is happening in Aquarius, and as I said, we've got another one coming up in August, and so within a month to have two full moons in Aquarius, it is quite rare, but it's chaotic anyway, isn't it? So let's have a look at it. The first full moon on the 24th of July is occurring at 1 degree Aquarius. And the second of these moons is going to be around August 22nd, and that's happening at 29 degrees Aquarius. Early and late degrees of any planetary body are always loaded with intensity. And we've also got Saturn in Aquarius conjunct this moon in the 8th house. And of course, Saturn-Uranus square dance still going on there behind the scenes, although it's not as intense. But it is still ongoing, and the final direct hit of that Uranus-Saturn square is coming around the Christmas time, which is what I spoke to you about in another video. So we'll see what happens there. I've got quite a strong Aquarian signature in my own chart, and when I was editing these notes, I realised it does reflect quite heavily in my interpretation of this full moon, and you may or may not agree with my analysis, but hey, it is Leo season, I can be on my ass, so here it is. I've set the chart around 2:30 AM London time on the 24th of July, and I'm really feeling this could be an extremely critical time for global society. You know, it is a full moon, yeah, it's a culminative moon, we know all about that, but for those that are still sleeping through this nightmare, I'm hoping it could be a bit of an awakening moon as well. You know, throughout this Saturn in Aquarius transit, guys, which began actually in October 2020, we have been becoming more aware of what is truly valid and authentic and what is not. And don't forget, we've still got the nodes in Sagittarius and Gemini. Truth and how we're communicating it and the information that's out there. So let's be aware of that. Saturn is not going to leave the sign of Aquarius until March 2023, so hang on to your hat. We've got a long way to go, guys. It's not going to, it's not going to end a week on Wednesday. So I hear folks talking about getting back to normal, and in my view, there is no normal. You know, our former normal is gone, and it is gone forever. This Uranian energy is completely rewriting the script here. The way we live, the way we work, and literally how we're going to progress as a species here on planet Earth. It's that serious now. If we're going to survive, we need to think outside the box. So as we continue to navigate this shift in reality, despite the illumination of this full moon, none of us are going to be passing go and collecting the 200 quid too quickly. And there is a distinct possibility with the energy in the air that some of us may even be going to jail, literally. So if you're in any doubt, just watch this space and, just see how this sort of chaotic game of Monopoly is actually playing out globally, okay? So watch this space. People are pretty tired and exhausted, and many of us, including myself, are becoming less compliant. Along with the temperatures, we've got tensions rising. South Africa has just had the worst rioting since 1994, and apparently they've put 10,000 troops on the ground there. And you may not be overtly political, guys, yet undoubtedly we are beginning to sense this global unrest, for sure. We do have the technology to become better informed with the internet, and it is important that we do look beyond our garden gate. Aquarius is asking us to do that, and to formulate our own beliefs, okay? Across the Pacific now, Australia is slowly mounting a defence against the erosion of their freedoms and democracy. across Europe and the Atlantic, things are happening. It's becoming commonplace now. So if you're interested in anything like that, check out the reignitedemocracyaustralia.com.au. Very interesting the way that these people are coming together, the Aussies. So reignitedemocracyaustralia.com.au. So on the 24th, we've also got the ascendant in Cancer. And Cancer is about emotional security, and Cancer reflects the acute anxiety that we feel when we're separated from the mother's womb. You know, when we birth into this earth reality, that is angst. We're birthed into all this fear and conditioning. So with Mercury now and its detriment having moved into Cancer, it is in its fall, forming an interesting trine, a very watery trine to Neptune in Pisces that's operating in the 10th house. My view is that it's going to continue to generate acute and very extreme insecurities within the collective, okay, the collective consciousness. So personal and homeland securities are going to be to the forefront of our minds. You know, the 10th house being societal norms and governments, and Neptune, of course, is tired. There's a tiredness, we just want to go to sleep. So in my view, this is ongoing covert creation of the nanny state worldwide. I mean, seriously. And that statement, you will own nothing, but you will be happy. That springs to mind, you know. And Cancer energy, it is moon energy, don't forget. And it's very much about our security and emotional selves. It's about home environments, yeah, it's about our family dynamic, but it's about the human family as well. Okay, it's about the whole of us, the human family. So 4th house moon energy, it is very protective energy, and paradoxically, with regards to governmental policy, you could look at this entire lockdown situation as some stealth move of protective custody or house arrest, for sure. And when Cancer energy is rising onto the 12th, we are talking about humanity as a whole here, you know, the global collective. So I've spoken about the dissolving energies of the 12th house Neptune many times. It doesn't have any borders, and it represents the unconscious or the subliminal mind. And remember, we are birthed from the cosmic womb, guys, you know, and our humanism is just another experience for us as spiritual beings. So we can either live it in love, collective love, or we can live it in fear. It's our choice, you know, it's a personal choice. So Neptune, Pisces, it is representative of the immune system. I've spoken about that before. But it's also representative of the hypothalamus glands. And the hypothalamus controls our hormones, it controls our adrenaline levels, it controls our emotions, it controls blood pressure, controls our heart rate, lots of things. So let's not forget that the polarity of this full moon in Aquarius is actually the sun in Leo, the heart, okay? And we've got Mars in Leo as well, don't forget, warrior energy. So we've also got degrees of Gemini on that 12th house at the time of this full moon, on the 24th of July. And so logical thought can be lost a little bit in the depths of watery Cancer, all right? With Mercury being in Cancer now. So we've still got Mars in Leo. So as the adrenaline and the emotions begin to rise, we need to stay mindful and aware, guys. All right, we are, yeah, Mars in Leo, I want to go out, want to have fun, want to be vital, all of that, but we need to stay mindful. Aquarius can be volatile, it can be shocking, and it certainly can be unpredictable, and we can see this manifesting with the climatic extremes. So with the watery trine of Cancer and Neptune, or the Mercury-Neptune trine, if you like, we can see parts of Northern Europe now underwater. We've got Canada's blistering heat annihilating their shellfish supplies. And these changes are going to continue, there's no doubt about that. And I fully anticipate there's going to be food and water shortages, guys, worldwide. It's going to be slow, but it's coming. So we need to prepare for that, you know, if you have got any land, right? If there's anything left when Bill Gates has finished buying it all up. And you've got your own water supply, you're going to be okay. But I do want to say to you that we do need to begin to prepare for this. If you have got land, or if you've got window boxes, but you have to think about where you're going to get your food from. You know, if the supermarkets are empty, and we already got this at the beginning of this lockdown. I mean, you know, all those photos and videos of where there was absolutely nothing left in supermarkets. So we need to prepare, right? We were prepared for this pandemic. We should have been, but we weren't. But we do need to prepare for this, all right? Because it is happening. We've got, you know, people buying up water plants. We have got Mr. Gates and others buying up lands. This is bad, right? And you need to wake up and you need to inform yourself about it. And you need to get together with like-minded people to try and do something about it. I'm an old girl now, but you youngsters, you need to do something. This is your future. Aquarius is about futurism, right? Technology, all the rest of it, but you need to do something about it. We've got Jupiter moving retrograde into Aquarius around the 28th of July, and I'm sort of anticipating a few repercussions there around personal and global freedoms, possibly again. On a more delicate note, I expect greater criticism in some instances directed at the non-vaccinated amongst us as well. You know, the media is instilling further fear in the collective psyche, it's fueling infighting concerning vaccination choices, and inevitably this is strengthening the divides and rule tactics of the powers that be. You know, that's what's going on here in my mind. I defend my choice to remain vaccine free. I trust myself to please my own body. I eat well, I avoid extremes, I do supplement with vitamins, but I do have maximum faith in my natural immunity. You know, yes, of course, if you've got underlying issue and you want to take it, then that is your choice, but I preserve my right to choose. And in my view, my philosophy is I don't own my own body, then for me it's the theft of my soul, but that's the way I am, that's who I am, that's the way I'm structured. So I fully support your choice to take the vaccine and future boosters as and when they are required. It is your human right to do so, and you're not going to receive any judgment from me, and I don't expect any from you. So hopefully we can all get along very peacefully. But if you are on the fence with regards to the vaccines, you maybe should need to check out Brett Weinstein and his partner Heather. They're a great YouTube, there's fantastic stuff. I mean, these guys are evolutionary biologists, and there is a really, really great YouTube video featuring Brett, along with Rob Malone and Steve Kirsch. And these guys are three very, very well qualified scientists that are addressing their concerns around the Pfizer vaccine and the fact that you know, things are not happening the way they should. And also there's some documentation on there from Japan that suggests that Pfizer knew this before they actually released the vaccine. So I'm not giving you scare tactics here, guys. You formulate your own opinion. You might think it's nonsense, but you should think about checking it out. I actually think it's the Rant channel, because I know he's come off YouTube now. Well, so Rant, R-A-N-T-T, I think. Alright, so you should check that out. So Aquarius, the libertarian, connecting with Jupiter's cry for freedom. Alright, so we've all got the right to choose, guys, and I am concerned that with such a tremendous amount of sort of Aquarian energy operating in the sky, that there could be some lawlessness with the energy of these full moons. Okay, and let's not forget that this particular full moon on the 24th is actually happening in the 8th house, which is naturally Scorpio. So deep core issues here going on. Yes, viral infection, Scorpio is viral infection, it is molecular mutation, I've spoken about this before. But I think in this instance, the way the planetary energy is working, I think that the Scorpion here is injecting additional anxiety into the minds of the collective, using fear and manipulation. So repressed feelings can surface here with this full moon energy as well, personally. So if you've got your own power struggles going on, guys, and if you are struggling with control issues, any sort of personal self-abusive masochistic behaviour, if you were within violent, abusive and narcissistic relationships, you know, Mars in Leo, all these sorts of things. You know, given the planetary pairing of Mars in Leo and Venus in Virgo now in the third house, which is naturally Gemini, Mercury ruled energy, things could escalate. They could escalate. So it's important that we just breathe and we stay grounded. And whilst Jupiter is still in Pisces until the 28th of July, you know, take to the hills if you can, literally. You know, nature is a great healer, guys, so if you can escape from any sort of control, or you just want to get out there, enjoy it. So Scorpio eliminates and it also regenerates the virus, yes, but I'm just thinking about this stop-start traffic light system of operating by these global governments. I ask myself, is this some kind of like psyops tactics here? You know, like CIA subliminal suggestion that's here to undermine society and ultimately break us. And the truth of the matter is, why not? You know, they've done everything else. You know, so I'm anticipating further revelations coming from both political and scientific whistleblowers, now stepping up and revealing the truth behind these well-coordinated sort of hidden agendas of the Pluto in Capricorn elite. Right, sorry, that's my Aquarius coming out there, but that's how I'm feeling. And the truth will out despite continuing censorship, and some truths may be quite shocking, so we need to prepare for that as well. So with Renegade Aquarius, anything can happen. So as that's going on, and then I'm envisaging even stronger punitive actions from government bodies worldwide, and I do think that this could well involve, in certain parts of the world, martial law, you know, less democratic countries and states. So, you know, and to a degree I think this is already being implemented in South Africa, having been applied in an attempt to calm the masses there, you know. And originally the rioting was supposedly to do with the fact that Zuma, you know, had been prosecuted and so on and so forth, but we don't really know, do we? Because there's all sorts of stuff, you know. There's somebody in there that could have caused that issue initially. So in my view, it's just another move towards control disguised as something else. And the wolf in sheep's clothing, right? And I spoke about that way back at the start of this pandemic. And I have to say that I feel that the outrageous claims of the mainstream media suggesting that the 2021 football final was going to create another 1 million infections and 50,000 deaths or more from the latest COVID variant, it's beyond rational thinking to me, isn't it? It's just crazy. And again, in my view, I think this is all propaganda, and I think it's there to invoke the already planned lockdowns, and I underline that, the already planned lockdowns. That's my Scorpio. Structured in Scorpio, guys, so being quite suspicious about that, things that are hidden. I should mention research tells me that there are actually 7 variants at the moment that are out there, so expect more lockdowns. And these mutations are so minuscule though, and they do not reflect the level of fear that these goons are instilling with these inflammatory figures around viral statistics. It is absolutely beyond insane in my view. I find it interesting that there was no mention of risk with regards to Wimbledon in the media. Yeah, I saw very, very few of very privileged spectators wearing masks on the centre court. And neither were masks worn during the Formula 1 event. So, you know, if herd immunity is the plan, let the show go on, but make up your goddamn minds. You know, we have been led to believe that these vaccines may reduce the severity of the infection. However, it does not fully immunise. And I managed to look at some UK TV this morning. I was babysitting my neighbour's dog, and I just flicked the TV on while I had a cup of tea, and apparently the health secretary's now got COVID, even though he has been immunised against it with 2 injections. So, And that takes me down an avenue where I want to talk about, you know, the tragic deaths that have occurred with those very unlucky people. Unlucky, it's not quite the words. You know, and also many people are suffering irreparable damage from these experimental vaccines, underlined experimental vaccines. So to the pharmaceutical companies, these people are just collateral damage in my eyes. And inevitably there are going to be reprisals should this madness continue. And I think time will tell with regards exactly what's you know, what damage has been done, and hopefully none to you guys if you have taken the vaccine, but we just don't know. And I think that the big pharmas offer no assurances, nor do they offer any insurance against possible future harm. They take no responsibility, they make the rules, and we elect these people, our publicly elected officials are powerless against these monopolies. That's a fact. So maybe they need to get together. You know, what happens to democracy, okay? There was a suggestion that minute particles of graphite oxide, right, nanotech, may well be a component of the vaccination. And, you know, nanoparticles are present apparently. If you imagine like a peanut and you've got the nut in the middle and then you've got the chocolate on the end, or the shell on the end, the nanoparticles, as the RNA vaccine is going inside, this is what coats it, so it is minuscule. But it was really interesting that the vaccine sites in some receivers, you know, some recipients, have been proven to be magnetic when introduced to a metal object. And when I've used these videos, and I have looked at loads of them, and I actually had an old friend contact me personally with some real concerns because it was happening to them. And me being the way I am, the way I think, immediately I was really mindful of the 1947 Area 51 weather balloon incident in Roswell, New Mexico. I mean, this is the Aquarian age, isn't it? You know, transhumanism, computer brain interface, you know. But do you remember that light as a feather, indestructible silver foil that they found scattered throughout the crash site there in the desert? You know, and I asked myself, what's that actually nanotech back then in 1947? The thing is, we're never going to know. Maybe. I mean, who knows? You know, that could well be another deep state agenda. I'm sure it is. That's the truth. So yeah, truths are going to be coming out here. And I know that I sound really extreme, but hey, that's my Aquarius. And it's not a point of discussion today, but I'm just looking at that and maybe thinking about another upload later on in the future. These reoccurring themes, these Aquarian energies, are still going to prevail, with no doubt. But we've got 70% of souls that are still sleeping, that are still conforming to societal conditioning, in an attempt to establish some level of false security, in my eyes. And this is instilled by fear. It's like I was talking about the Scorpio injecting this fear. And who knows, you know, with these moons, maybe 0.2% of the 70% might actually wake up, you know, become more alert, become more aware as we move forwards. I personally live in hope. That'd be great. So we can see this Aquarian energy happening in the weather patterns as well. So in my view, this is another perspective. You may not share it, and that's absolutely fine. You want to turn off now, that's fine. But these are purely evolutionary planetary changes as far as I'm concerned. You know, many ecologists are now concluding that human contribution to levels of carbon is actually a fraction of what is being reported, right, by some of these alarmists out there. All right, license there, a little bit of creative license. That does not excuse the shocking disposal of our waste, and nor should it. But I'm hoping that these, what I call the Pluto in Sag generation, these 20-somethings that are coming up now, that are going to come up, you know, the eco-warriors, they're going to come up with some solutions to our problems, all right? But it is a crazy period in our evolutionary journey, for sure. I don't know whether or not you guys have ever seen It's about an hour, and it's they call it the Human Planet. And I did pop it on Facebook. Not that anybody would have checked it out, I doubt. But I did put it on Facebook. You can get it on YouTube now because it was banned on YouTube. You can get it, and it was directed by Michael Moore. And I know that he can be a little bit, controversial. You know, bowling for Columbine and all that, but they call it the Human Planet, and it is really worth checking out about sustainable energy and the corruption and the money and the greed, and it's unbelievable. And the end scene is a couple of apes that are on this tree trying to pull down the top branch, but the tree is dead. There's absolutely nothing there for them, and it was actually heart-rending. So you need to check that out. It's called The Human Planet by Michael Moore. You can get it on YouTube. So, with this full moon happening in the 8th, alongside Saturn in Aquarius, you know, personal realities, deep core issues around control are going to come to the fore. Also things to do with sexuality, intimacy, transsexualism, and so on, that really is more begun to be more deeply understood and accepted. You know, and I talked about this, I talked about transsexualism when I did my political whinge on chest feeding, which you're going to find, you know, but again, that was to do with the cancel culture and the woke generation, not really specifically about transgenderism. You know, for me, you know, the soul is an androgynous entity. It knows no sex, so it's neither male nor female, guys. So, yeah, as far as struggling after you've had lifetimes in a female body or a male body, and then you're born into the opposite, that's going to be very heavy for the soul to deal with, you know, the emotions. So there you go. So I'm alright with that one. Never not been. So what was once hidden in this Pisces age, I've used this a lot, is now going to be revealed in Aquarius. So those of us that are more probing and they want to discover more, I want to uncover more, and hopefully reform and transform as we move forward. That's going to be good, hopefully. So all the younger generations coming up. But activism, that's another word, certainly with Aquarius, so we'll see what happens there. Remember that Pluto is still in the sign of Capricorn until 2024, guys, and Capricorn's ruler is Saturn. Now then, I spoke to you right at the very, very beginning of this pandemic about the mythology behind Saturn. You know, Saturn ate his children, the cannibalistic father. And I'm hearing more and more reports of forged signatures on do not resuscitate medical permissions. Families, you know, forged family signatures on DNRs, guys. You know, we've got medics worldwide that have been forced to break their Hippocratic oath of do no harm. Saturn, the limiter. Saturn, the good shepherd, shepherding the sheep. Exactly where are we being shepherded to? I could say lambs to the slaughter, I could say lions led by donkeys, you know, if you're going to go towards the First World War. But that's where I am, and that's my heavy Aquarius signature. I'm feeling quite retaliatory at the minute. But Saturn is riding alongside this full moon in that 8th house of control. So we've got Saturn retrograde, right, and in Aquarius. So we've got the extremes of Aquarius. So we've got Saturn, the lawmaker, guys, and we've got Aquarius, the lawbreaker. And this Aquarian energy really does have the makings of a Molotov cocktail, in my view. And another way of looking at this, let's look at all the scandal, the political scandals. We've got Matt Hancock, right, and these many other hypocrisies that we're all being subjected to here. So we've got one rule for the masses and another for the privileged few. Now, who are these people to define rightness? Really? But sadly, with 70% still sleepwalking through this, it's really unlikely that things are going to change too much. But it is time to wake up, guys. It really is time to wake up. And to help us do that, we're also going to have the gaseous giant Jupiter moving retrograde in Aquarius on the 28th of July, right? So coming out of Pisces, going into retrograde into Aquarius in the ninth house, which is his own house. So we could have an expansion of truth or an explosive amplification of the chaos and the shutdowns. You know, it is a very short stay in the ninth house, and it retrogrades back into the eighth house alongside Saturn on the 4th of August, guys. So we could certainly have further limitation to our freedoms, I think. All right, so we'll have to just wait and see. It'll be gradual, but it will come on the long term. This is truly a definitive time for humanity, and you know, where many of us are going to say we're not going to take it anymore. We want the truth, and I spoke about this. I touched upon it briefly in the collective reading for July, but it was very briefly. So for me, this culminative Wix, really, it can be really fierce, and there could well be aggression as the adrenaline rises and feelings become more heated with the Mars in Leo. So global governments are continuing to hang us out to dry, guys. So this path to freedom is not an easy one. So with this Pluto in resistance sign of Capricorn until 2024, and with Saturn still retrograde in Aquarius, it's going to be very, very tense. It's going to be anxious as we move forward now over this next month and beyond that. So it's going to be a difficult energy to navigate both personally and collectively. But we need to remember, guys, that every soul is created free and equal. And if we use this Aquarian energy wisely, Jupiter, and trust our intuition, Jupiter, and allow ourselves to detach and think outside the box of conditioned conformity, right, Aquarius, we ultimately honour the soul, in my view. So I'm not advocating riot here, but we do have to look at that Leo polarity, the sun, in the second house of values, guys. Our personal sovereignty. What do we really value? What is truly important? We have Mars in Leo, and that's warrior energy, Mars. And we've got Venus now in Virgo, so we do need to discriminate, but still honour our feelings and our senses. It can be difficult with Mars and Venus so closely aligned, and feelings will run high in my view, but it is important that we do differentiate between the truth and the lies that we're being fed, and we recognise our autonomy despite the crushing pressure that we're being subjected to. So Aquarius is tribal energy, guys, and people worldwide are absolutely consumed now and shattered with this restrictive, make it up as you go along policy that, these goons have got no idea really, and that's the truth. But they're restricting our freedoms. Why? Okay, why? Virus, we'll see. It's already beginning, and it could well be a steady, slow Capricorn attempt, in my view, to implement blanket mandatory vaccines and other very, very punitive laws. We'll see. I fear that we're going to have to revolt. There's going to be a revolution. And then again, without revolution, there's no evolution, guys, is there? Nothing changes. So I myself am separated from my children, as you know, my newborn grandchild. We've got mental health issues continuing to rise because of the isolation that we've been struggling with. The people that have developed mental health from the beginning of this, that's not going to go away. I mean, true mental health, anybody who has suffered mental health knows it's not going to go away in 10 days. That's ridiculous. Mental illness is no stranger to me, and I am unashamedly, I'm going to be writing about that subject in the coming months. And doing a little bit of a video on it, I think, for sure. We've got to recognise, guys, that there is strength in numbers, right? And as I said, I'm not advocating riot, but we have to resist. There needs to be some sort of resistance against the damning of our freedoms, okay? So I'm going to leave you with my little philosophy, with my Sag moon. Just one line, one statement, guys. Better a broken leg than a broken spirit. Peace and love, guys. If you want a reading, you know where I am. Thank you for listening to my rant today. I hope that you found it interesting. Please like, please share, please subscribe. And thanks again for listening. Thanks, guys. Bye now.